What's up everyone, Zach Seif here, and today we're going to go over how I built my band Crash the Party's in-ear monitoring system. So what exactly is an in-ear monitoring system? Well, it's a series of pieces of gear that allow every band member to get a custom individual mix sent to those earbuds that you see musicians using on stage. The purpose of using IEMs is to prevent the downsides of using traditional stage monitors that you are all familiar with. The biggest downside of those is that you have to crank them really loud on stage to get a good sound and to hear everything above the live drums and the audience, so that can cause permanent hearing damage. Also, if you move too far away from the monitor, then you lose the mix and it's hard to hear, which means then you have to crank it louder and the cycle continues. You can get feedback into your microphone. So using the IEMs allows you to keep your mix at a nice reasonable level. It blocks out ambient noise, reduces hearing fatigue, and you get the exact same mix every single night anywhere on stage, and it's just an insanely reasonable investment to make to protect your hearing long term. So in today's video, we're going to go over what pieces of gear I chose for my IEM build, and we're going to put it together piece by piece, step by step, so that you can set one up for your own band. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have all of the equipment that we need to build this system. So for us, that includes 2 wireless in-ear transmitters and 2 wireless microphone units, a digital mixer, and a splitter system. We went with the Behringer XR18 Air and the CBI Earsplitter. The reasoning behind this is we need at least 16 inputs and at least 4 sends, and we chose this splitter because it has 3 feet sends for the mixer and 25-foot tails to send to front of house. Finally, you need a case to put everything in, so we have a 6-space Gator rack case and a Furman power conditioner to supply clean power for all of our units. So the first order of business is setting down the rack with the power conditioner already installed so that you can start to put in the digital mixer. We're putting it in with the back facing out. This way we can keep all of our cables plugged in the rear without having to unplug and replug at every show, and this is going to drastically cut down your setup and breakdown time. Next thing we're going to do is start to feed the tails of the splitter inside of the rack, so that way we can get all of our cables in the rear of the unit so that we can easily plug them in later on, and we don't want to crush or destroy any of the cables any other way. Once that step is taken care of, you can start to screw these 2 units into the rack mounts using the provided screws, and this allows us to then safely flip the case over so we can start to patch the tails in from the splitter into the mixer. So what we're going to do is take the shorter side of the splitter, which in our case is 3-foot tails, and we're going to take each cable and plug it in one at a time into the inputs of the digital mixer. Our cables were labeled 1 through 16, so it was nice and easy to plug everything into where it needed to go without any second guessing. Once all of those are safely and comfortably patched in, you can start to take small XLR patch cables to plug from your aux sends of the mixer into the inputs of your in-ear monitoring system. This is how you're going to get every band member to get their own mix through these aux sends. You can think of auxiliary sends as separate monitor outs so that everyone can have their own mix that won't affect the other person. All that's left to do now is to plug the power strips for every unit into the power conditioner and try to prevent your audio cables and power cables from crossing each other to prevent any possible interference. All that's left to do now is power it up and make sure that everything turns on. So you plug the power conditioner into any wall circuit in your house, and you check to make sure that your wireless units, your microphones, and your mixer are all turning on with no noticeable issues. The final step is to open up the application that matches your hardware unit and start to set your mixes. So you can set the names of every channel, you can set the levels of every channel, and since each aux send is separate from the front of house send, everyone has their own mix without affecting the rest of the band. You can also adjust your noise gate, compression, EQ, and effect settings as well, depending on the unit that you choose for your digital mixer. And this is all done via Wi-Fi through an external router. So some final thoughts and considerations are obviously the cost. Building an IEM system is not inexpensive, especially if you want to do it right. If you cheap out with gear, you're going to get subpar mixes, you won't get optimal hearing protection and blockage, and you may get faulty units that are either very noisy, inconsistent, or unreliable. The minimum I would go for would be Shure or Sennheiser transmitter and receiver units that run anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a piece. I would opt for custom in-ear monitors. Otherwise, you're not going to get perfect bass response. You might get some loss of sound, and it might not block as much noise as custom molds are. You can get custom molded in-ears starting at just a couple $100 from companies such as JH Audio, which is what I use, and they will protect your hearing and save it long-term so that you can continue gigging for as long as possible. The other thing to consider is the digital mixer. You need enough inputs for all of the channels that you need, and for the splitter, you need just a couple feet to reach the splitter to the mixer, and I always opt for 25 feet of cable for front of house because that's the most amount of space we are from a stage box when we tour. So let me know your thoughts on IEM systems, and let me know what systems you guys are using in the comments below. If you guys want more content on the regular, you can check me out on social media. All of those links are in the description below. And until next time, everyone, keep on rocking and keep on following your dreams.